Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today we're going to talk about Charlotte Flair and what she might do at WrestleMania, but we gotta talk about that promo on Raw. Because, oh my gosh, it felt so over the place. Like, what was WWE trying to accomplish? I'll try to make sense of it in some way. I did talk about Jey Uso, which I will talk a little bit about in this video as well, but I did cover the reaction to Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble in this video here, so go ahead and, or over here, wherever, and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button as we are on the road to WrestleMania in Las Vegas. And I will be producing weekly wrestling content all the way through WrestleMania. I will be live streaming the Elimination Chamber, which I will be talking about that in different videos coming up. So go ahead and subscribe today. Now, Charlotte Flair came back. She won the Royal Rumble. She got the whole Cody Rhodes treatment. She came back from injury. She got all the vignettes ahead of the Royal Rumble, and she even won the Royal Rumble, similar to Cody Rhodes in 2023. And I don't know if the WWE thought, oh, hey, let's apply the same logic, and that the fans are going to just cheer for Charlotte. And I get the idea, Tiffany, if the idea is Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton, which I will talk about in a little bit here, then I can understand why they want to try to make her a babyface out of it. Since Tiffany is still a heel, even though she cashed in on a heel, but she's still a heel. She's still, it's so confusing. But we did see her have a confrontation with Rhea Ripley, Rhea Ripley did come out and confront Charlotte, and they teased that matchup. And which, in that case, Charlotte would then be the heel if she goes against Rhea Ripley. But I feel like even if it is Tiffany Stratton, the WWE did not really do a good job of setting up Charlotte as a babyface. And honestly, Charlotte has never come off well as a babyface. Think before last year, any other time they tried to make The Miz a babyface, it just never worked. It felt forced. When The Miz was Ric Flair's his mentor, he was doing the figure four thing. They were trying to make him a babyface, and that didn't work. Yeah, see, that's what the WWE is trying to do with Charlotte, where it's it doesn't work for her as a babyface. And I'm wearing the Roman Reigns t-shirt because it's similar to that, where Charlotte is kind of going through her Roman Reigns big dog phase, where she's kind of been getting booed, and people are just tired of her being kind of shoved down the fans' throat, so to speak. They're tired of her being in championship matches. I don't think there's ever been a feud that she's been in where there's been no title involved. Just remember WrestleMania 35. They shoehorned her into the whole match with Becky and Ronda, and then they had her randomly beat Asuka for the SmackDown Championship, just to make it a winner-take-all match. And when you look at the Royal Rumble this year, Charlotte got the full-on pyro for a Royal Rumble entrance. Now, granted, Roman Reigns did too, but Roman Reigns didn't go on to win the Rumble. Charlotte got the whole full entrance during a Royal Rumble match, and that pretty much gave away that she was going to win it. And when you look at her character, there's nothing that is different. There's nothing that she's never gone through any character changes. She's always kind of just been Charlotte Flair. And I think that's kind of where you get to a point for the fans where it's like, okay, same old Charlotte. Like, they gotta try something different. Like, they've gotta find a different way. And it did seem as if when they were doing all these vignettes, and they were kind of Ric Flair like, they were kind of like her father, kind of like these, like she was in a private jet. She was all like, like she was, all these fancy clothes and all this other stuff, and it felt like, okay, maybe this is a new character. And then we get to the Royal Rumble, and it's same old Charlotte. We get to Raw, same old Charlotte. And right now, when you look at the landscape of the WWE Women's Division, there's a saying Triple H once had: evolution has just passed you by. And when you look at this women's division, it's surpassed Charlotte Flair. They've passed by her. Like, while she's been gone, the entire women's division around her has gotten better, more talented. There's more women that the fans would rather see in that position of winning the Royal Rumble than her. There's better matchups. There's so many talent down in NXT. We got Julia, Stephanie, Roxanne. We had so many talent down there in NXT, and it's like, why do we want to see Charlotte? We got all these talent down in NXT still waiting to come up and get their call up to the main roster. Plus, you got the main roster itself, which, a lot of fans wanted Io Sky to win. And I think if you just had Io Sky win the Women's Royal Rumble and say had Charlotte go through the Elimination Chamber, they may have been able to avoid that type of reaction. Because, again, when you compare what the internet was saying about Jey Uso, the live crowd basically had that reaction to Charlotte. Like, they just did not care for her being in another championship match and another championship storyline. Which brings me to another point. Triple H also said you have to adapt or perish. Well, the thing about pro wrestling is, how do wrestlers maintain relevancy, which is ironic. No pun intended there, but it does bring up how wrestlers do have to change over time in order to find that character that works. That, The Rock was not The Rock. When he first came in, he was Rocky Maivia. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the ringmaster. Roman Reigns, the big dog. Before he was the big dog, before he finally found what worked for him, which was the tribal chief character. Jey Uso. Look at Jey. He was just a tag team guy, and he still have to prove that he's not a tag team guy. But now he went from Jey Uso, tag team guy, to main event Jey Uso. He's gone through a completely different character change. He's gone through a character change that makes him different from who he was before. And, we talk about Chris Jericho is, one of the best at doing that. We've seen The Undertaker have different variations on his character. So the evolution of wrestlers is kind of one of the best things about pro wrestling, is kind of seeing how wrestlers can evolve and adapt over time to the changing environment. And when you look at Charlotte Flair, she has not done that. She's playing the same character that has not changed at all. There's nothing different about her. Like I look at Jon Moxley versus Dean Ambrose. Honestly, they're two different characters. Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, you would think that they were played by different people. That's how different the characters are. When you look at Mercedes Moné, look, she's talented. She's a great wrestler, but Look, I know y'all were probably in the comments, oh no, I'm just hating, blah blah blah. Like, all her mannerisms are Sasha Banks like. There's like, where's that difference between Sasha Banks and Mercedes? Like, what's different? Like, when I look at Jon Moxley versus Dean Ambrose, I can tell there's a difference in the characters. Now, when I look at Charlotte Flair, who won the Royal Rumble this year, is there a difference from the Charlotte Flair that won the 2020 Royal Rumble to this year's? No, there isn't. It's the same one. She's played the same character, and I think fans are just at that point of they want to see her do something different. And they just want to see her do something that's not revolving around a championship. And I think the WWE is missing the point with Charlotte Flair, where I get it, Triple H is friends with Ric Flair. I get that. They were in Evolution together. You know, Vince McMahon liked Ric Flair, so he pushed her to the moon. But Charlotte Flair's kind of going through her own Roman Reigns phase of what Vince was trying to do with Roman, what Vince did with John Cena. It was this over-pushing that has turned the fans against them. Now, mind you, with Roman Reigns, it was the internet at first, but it did kind of go and transfer into the live audience, where the live audience was rejecting Roman Reigns. Does she go face Tiffany Stratton? Well, I mean, okay, she could. But is she going to put Tiffany over? Because that's the one thing I think a lot of people are saying, and I think people are also worried about, is Tiffany Stratton is a young up-and-comer who could use a win over Charlotte Flair to solidify her reign. But Charlotte Flair coming back, and she's, coming back and, hey, I'm going to take your title. Like, is she going to put over Tiffany, right? You look at Rhea Ripley. We've seen Charlotte versus Rhea twice before, and Charlotte versus Rhea has a real chance to main event night one. I know people are worried. Oh no, Jay versus Gunther isn't main event material. Look, Drew versus Seth for the world title was the opener for night 2 last year. Look, Jey Uso versus Gunther is very likely going to be the opener for night 2, to where if Jey does win, it's going to be this big thing to where you set the energy and you set the vibes for the rest of the show by having Jey win. And Charlotte versus Rhea has a good chance to main event night 1. I know some people said, oh, they should have main evented night 1 of WrestleMania 39. And yes, it was a great match. But the story with Sami, Kevin, and the Usos weighed a little bit more at that time. And obviously everything was revolving around the bloodline. And so it made sense for that to be the night 1 main event. And now there's a chance that the WWE can go, hey, we'll run back Charlotte versus Rhea. And again, they each have one win. Charlotte won at WrestleMania 36. Rhea won at WrestleMania 39. And so this is the same vein of Cody Roman, where they each have a win over each other. And that third Mania match would be to see who really is the best, right? So yeah, this could be your night 1 main event. Charlotte versus Rhea. That's easily the night 1 main event if this does happen. But Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte, I think, is the more likely road that they're going to take. And I think the WWE has to tread carefully with this. Because if they have Charlotte beat Tiffany, I don't think it's going to be a good reaction. Unless they find a way to do a double turn out of it to where Charlotte's the heel, they got to do something on the way to WrestleMania where, okay, is she defined as a face or a heel? Or is this going to be a thing where she's going to be a face, but they're going to do a double turn in WrestleMania to turn Tiffany Stratton face? And then Charlotte would be the heel. You know, we'll have to see what happens at WrestleMania. You know, who does Charlotte choose? You know, I know she said she was going to NXT, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. But yeah, Tiffany or Rhea, I think to me, either way, there's a really fine line, regardless of who she chooses, that the WWE has to walk. Because is she a face? Is she a heel? Because I think clearly, based on the reaction from the crowd on Raw on Monday, I think she's going to be a heel no matter what. Even if they try to present Tiffany Stratton as a heel, I think the fans are still going to cheer Tiffany over Charlotte Flair. So comment below. Let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the Charlotte Flair promo? Do you think she's going to be a face, a heel? Who do you think she chooses between Tiffany and Rhea? Comment below. And as always, I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, living out the dream, living out the dream, living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ringside forever. Oh, wrestling never gets old.